The 2016 Abarth. Well, I feel like I should have a European accent talking about it. That's because this was originally a Euro car, and it's been around for about 9 years now. Of course, they've refreshed it, updated a few things, but essentially, this really is the same car that's been around forever. This exterior is a hot topic. It looks like something Big Bird would have bought for his teenage daughter. It just doesn't work for me. But that doesn't mean it's not going to work for other people. This is a strange vehicle because different colors completely change the personality. If you've never seen one of these in black, murdered out with tints, it looks really mean, and it's just strange and silly at the same time. The 500 Abarth is just more aggressive than the regular model. And here's the thing about cars with personality, is that it will bring out the best and worst in people. I pulled up to several traffic lights and had pickup truck drivers roll down their window and just laugh at me, like I was some type of disfigured chud. At the same time, I'd pull someplace and people would actually get out of their car and tell me how cool this thing looked. The other thing about the Abarth exterior is they don't have to use a ton of gimmicks here. This is just kind of old school. You got halogen headlights, driving lights. There's just nothing fancy. They didn't have to tart this up full of all this crap to follow the crowd because this has just really worked for so long. You might be wondering, well, how the hell do I know that this is an Abarth model? Well, let me give you the subtle hints. There's scorpions everywhere. On the wheels, on the sides, you have the Abarth badge. And if that wasn't enough, there's this splatter paint looking vinyl decal along the side of the car that says Abarth. When you open up this hatch, you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna use this for with the seats folded towards you? If you're somebody that likes to carry over 100 kilos of cocaine at any given time, this is not going to be the vehicle for you. But I can fit 2 backpacks in the back. When you fold down these seats, that's when this vehicle makes a lot more sense. It really is a glorified 2-seater when you look at it that way. I can fit everything I need in here. My gear, my drone case, my backpacks, but my slider has to ride shotgun due to the size of it. And you realize, especially in America, that so many people have this obsession with buying cars that are 10 times the size that they actually need for a single person. Once you drive this, you realize you can get most of everything that you have in here, and it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, I left the headlights on in the Dodge pile. I can't see you.
Why are we on the alignment rack?
Because it doesn't fit on 2 of our other racks, and it barely fits on here.
Yeah, it is. The wheelbase and the actual width of this thing is just ridiculous. It's so small. You can't even really put it in perspective until you witness it in the flush. So the Abarth has some special features here, Scott. Let's start with the front. We have twin intercoolers that vent in and exhaust out, and they're propped in front of the front wheel wells for cooling.
Just don't run over any debris in the road because you'll cut your hose.
Yeah, you got 2 rubber.
You'll have a boost leak.
Yeah, and then you'd lose all the horsepower you want. So we got some changes here with the Abarth suspension compared to the regular 500, and they are significant. What do we got to start?
Some dual flow struts.
Yeah, they are dual flow struts. We have, so you said it has stiffer spring rates.
Stiffer springs, lower ride height probably.
Yep, that is correct.
How much lowering?
0.6, around 0.6. The second thing it has cast steel lower control arms for rigidity. You have larger brakes, 11-inch rotors in the front with painted calipers, which is all for performance, obviously. The big thing here is the FSD dampers, the struts from Coney. It has Coneys on all 4 corners. And the nice thing about this suspension or these dampers is the name. And I have to look at it because I cannot believe the name of these struts.
They should have just called them eye dampers.
What do you think FSD dampers stand for? No, actually, they stand for the dual valve frequency selective damping.
How does that work?
Well, I'll tell you, all that means is much like our Öhlins dampers that we had, it's got 2 oil paths that it can go. So under aggressive driving where there's not a ton of shock or whatever strut travel, it gives you 1 oil path to firm up the actual ride of the dampers. When it senses there's a lot of compression, huge travel, it opens up 2 oil paths. So the damping is less aggressive and it changes the rate.
Are the holes big and small? Are they the same size?
So there's oil that flows through the center of the tube and on the outside of the tube. The next thing it has, and this is noticeable when you really start to drive the piss out of it, is they set up this alignment very aggressive. It actually comes from the factory with 1.5 negative degrees of camber in the front.
Wow.
So you don't get as much understeer. Scott, we're in the back. How do you feel about that?
It's pretty tough with it. No exhaust. Or
Yeah.
muffler, I should say.
Yeah, it looks strange without a muffler back here. Straight pipes.
Beautiful exhaust note.
You like the exhaust?
Is that a Beats exhaust note?
It is. It's got Beats audio exhaust by Dr. Dre.
Nice fuel tank you got here.
Yeah, this is a 10-gallon cell, Scott, which means you can go about 280 miles before you fill up. I'm getting 30 miles to the gallon almost, which is shocking considering.
And a normal person driving probably get about 45 miles a
Yeah,
gallon.
probably. I mean, it's rated for 34, but you got to think that you could get better if you're just putting around in this thing. Again, it doesn't weigh much.
There's nothing back here to weigh.
No, it doesn't. Look how big the springs are in this thing. I mean, they're like a child's toy. It's crazy. This almost reminds me of when we looked at the ProMaster rear suspension, how these dampers, except they're on the opposite angle of the ProMaster, but it's surprising this even works. But anyway, let's take a look under the hood. Wasted enough time back here.
I do like these cutouts on this hood. It's a great armrest.
Yeah, it is good. It's good for guys like you who like to sit in the parking lot at Starbucks.
Yeah.
So, Scott, anything you're going to have to do to this car looks like you're going to have to put it in service position. This bumper is going to come off all the time, isn't it?
I think it's more than a bumper.
We have to take all this off.
The wiper cowl.
Yep, all that. And this is one of the big problems with this car. And this is the reality of Fiat as a brand. And everybody knows it. Even the CEO has talked about the fact that they've had some quality issues that they need to work on. They don't have good reliability. The first thing you're going to do when you look on the forums for people with these cars is it's a check engine light fest. What code today they're going to get. And the funny part about it is most of the owners of this like the car so much that it's just part of the ownership experience. If you go in expecting that you may have some just nagging issues, you're probably going to really enjoy this. And that's not saying that every single Fiat's got problems, but
We should do a full system scan and see if it has any.
You like that Scorpion plastic
Oh,
cover,
it's
don't you?
red, so.
Yeah, it's fast. It's all performance. It's hot as hell under this hood.
It's amazingly hot.
It needs venting.
That's epic how hot it is.
You could probably cook a whole bunch of mess of hot dogs on the front of
That's
this.
what I was thinking, hot dogs, man.
Yeah, because it's easy. You foil this up. You just bake a little bed for it. You go to Starbucks, you start leaning, and you start squirting your mustard all over them. Or whatever you call it.
You see it takes 5 W40
Oh.
synthetic oil.
Yeah, see, they're prepared for the heat on this car. So yeah, speaking of that, yes, this generates a lot of heat. It is a turbo, and the turbo is right up front, right in front of the radiator.
That's ridiculously hot. And this thing's been sitting for an hour or
at
more.
least. Yep. So let's talk about the engine, Scott.
That 2.4 liter?
Yeah, the 1.4 liter. It has a cast iron block. It has a forged steel crankshaft and counterweights. It has lightweight forged steel connecting rods. and it has forged aluminum pistons and floating piston pins. And all of this is obviously to increase strength and durability, especially when you're blowing, what do we say, 21 pounds of boost, 21, 22 pounds of boost at certain times. So yeah, you got to have a built motor for that.
That's just crazy that they just use these plain old hose clamps and this shit doesn't blow apart, you know?
I know.
What would your first mod be?
Well, I'd probably do nothing to it because I'd be afraid that it would be void, my warranty would be void when I had a problem for the first time. If I was out of warranty, I'd reflash it for sure. We're taking off in the Fiat 500 Abarth, and the first thing you're gonna notice behind the wheel is this exhaust tone. And I know you've heard it before, you've probably heard it from everybody, but the engineers who were behind the sound of this exhaust system deserve an Oscar for sound production. It's that good. In fact, this is probably the best 4-cylinder I've ever heard for any affordable price range. So you would expect having this insanely just throaty exhaust would drive you nuts on the road, and it does not. In 5th gear, when you're cruising, the only time it will make any noise is when you smash down the throttle about quarter way and you'll start to hear a little drone, but it is non-offensive if you're looking for like a sportier sounding car. In terms of ride control, body control, this uses Koni dampers, dual flow, dual valve dampers. Now, I've said this before about other cars, is it's one thing to throw a set of just stiffer shocks, just more aggressive valve dampers, and expect to have a good ride. What they've done here is proof positive that dampers are so important on a car's suspension. So they lowered this, firmed it up, but they were smart. They got a set of dampers that were able to just perform 2 tasks, handle rough pavement and then firm up when they need to on the twisty stuff. Now this is a firm riding car. It's on the sportier side, but it does both just regular highway driving and sporty driving tremendously well for a car in this price range. The Abarth has a sport mode button, and this sport mode button actually just changes a map in the ECU. It allows the engine to just generate more horsepower. So when you turn it on, you have to turn it on every time you turn on the car, which 95% of people will do. It changes the whole driving dynamics of the car from just a straight line and just an engine just performance perspective. So the ESC button's on the left. You can hold it down while you're driving. It's 2 stages. 1 tap kind of half turns it off. If you hold it down, it will turn it all the way off. So we're in sport with ESC all the way off, and we're going to take it through the turns. Brakes are really, really good. Initial bite is super strong. It has semi-metallic pads, so you get that immediate grip, and it's probably going to be hard on the rotors. So if you have this car, you probably want to bed them really well before you start pounding on it. And if you're doing a lot of street driving, just bed it all the time just to be safe. Transmission and clutch feel, well, let's take it through this next segment. When I first got into it, I thought this clutch feel is totally spongy and vague. And the manual gearbox, the actual shift feel is not the best. And I'll still contend it's not the best and most smoothest shifting or the best clutch take-up I've ever been in. But the beauty of a manual transmission car is, as a driver, you adjust each one. Every one is a little bit different. And after you get used to it, I've just been beating the piss out of this car, and I've totally enjoyed it. I have 0 problems with the clutch and transmission now. Let's take a look at straight line. You'll hear that backfiring or popping sound from the exhaust. When you pull off when you hit that clutch hard, you'll hear a pop all the time, and it's just another great part of the driving experience in the Abarth. You feel so connected to this car because you hear everything, you feel everything. It stimulates all your senses, and that's really one of this vehicle's strongest suits. Now, there is understeer, and there is torque steer, and it's just unavoidable. Even, you know, with 160 horsepower, you still feel it. This car definitely tends to understeer at the edge of performance. At that 9, or pretty much about at 8/10, you can start to feel it understeering. It's not a huge problem for me because the steering feels so good. Just the overall feel that it gives you through the steering wheel is so good, you can kind of forgive that. This is not going to be, you know, the best ever autocrossing car or track car, but man, does it find a super balance between performance and street. And we're coming up on this set of turns here, and this is where this car excels. There's a bird on the road. This is so enjoyable to drive for a front-wheel drive car. It's just a really fun car to drive. I think that's its singular purpose, is to kind of put a smile on your face, especially for being front-wheel drive. It kind of, you know, when you get to this price range, you think, well, Miata, right? Miata, S2000, that's kind of the de facto answer. And obviously this is nowhere near those cars because in terms of dynamics, but man, if you had to have a budget front-wheel drive car, I'd put this on the shopping list. The rear gets a little twitchy, you know, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it at the edge. If you get the rear unsettled over some bumps, it will start to tail out on you. You get some bumps steering the back, but you really have to be at that 9-10 arena to get the back end totally unsettled. It's non-offensive, really, that's what I'm trying to say. The beauty of the Abarth is it proves that building a car is not all about being the best at everything. You don't have to have the best engine, the best transmission, the best looks, the best engineering and quality to make a fun driving car. This is not the best at everything it does, but what it's able to do successfully is it takes all the important things that add up to an enjoyable driving experience for an enthusiast, and it checks all those boxes, and you can forgive so many of the downfalls about this, the age, the interior quality, just the overall kind of cheapness to it, and you forget about it because it's so fun to drive. And I think so many manufacturers, believe me, I'm not an FCA, I've never been a huge Chrysler person or a Fiat person, but there's so many manufacturers that don't get this right. They don't get that there's more to a car than just all the technology, all the features they want to throw in it. Sometimes it boils down to the bare basics, and this is where the Abarth totally wins for me. When you get on the interior of the Abarth, because this is a yellow car, you get this yellow trimmed interior with plastic panels. And I'm not going to pull any punches. This feels extremely cheap. And I know this is an old platform, but you look at the door panels, you look at the fabric choices, and this horrible looking plastichrome trim, it's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you get into a lot of modern cars. If you're new to the 500, well, the ergonomics are pretty good overall. Things are logically laid out in place. They're all within hand's reach of the steering wheel, so you're not having to hunt for too much. Your HVAC controls, you know, they're all physical buttons. They're pretty easy to use. Your turn signal stalk, your wiper stalks are easy. The sport button, your ESC button, you know, pretty much everything is right here. Now, there are some problems with the ergonomics. Let's start with the steering wheel. Most people will rave about the thickness of it, the flat bottom. It gives you good control over the heavier weight of the steering. But I find it's just a little bit oversized for this interior. I'd like to see the diameter smaller. The second thing is this trip button. The trip button controller is actually on the wiper stalk at the end, at the tip. So you have to scroll through like that. And also your menu buttons for just dimming and this central screen is kind of like strangely placed. It's hard to get through. You either have to go around or through the steering wheel. So that's kind of annoying to me. The last thing really here that is troublesome are the window switches. Typically they place window switches right next to each other. So if you're the driver, you can just hit them both at the same time and roll them up and down. Well, these are so far apart that it actually either requires two hands to do them both at the same time, or you have to do one at a time with one finger unless you have monster hands. Again, these are little quirks that aren't, again, they're not deal breakers, but they're just something you notice about usability of vehicles. There's no sunglass holder. The actual storage in here is just, it's kind of awkwardly laid out. You can't fit a bottle in the door, which they could easily massage the plastics to have cup holders in the door. The cup holders at the bottom, it's not really good for holding phones and just various stuff. And then they have two cup holders near the rear, which is really hard to get to. And without having a sunglass holder, your sunglasses are going to be flying around or in the door pockets. It's a strange storage layout. Many people get greatly concerned about the interior space of the 500. This is a narrow fitted cockpit. And then you add these sports seats in here and the anxiety level goes up. But I can tell you, I've been in plenty of cars with sports seats that feel like you're sitting on concrete. This is not one of them. They are cloth. The bolsters are high, but they are super compliant. One of the more comfortable fitted seats I've been in, and the cloth helps a lot. And the other cool thing about these is they're actually heated. And I just got out of a $44,000 Lexus that did not have heated seats. And it's just, you get in here and you're like, well, how can they do it in here and a luxury brand can't? So that's a cool feature. Now, the problem with the seats is the adjustability. It sucks. Every person that's gotten in here is like, well, how the hell do I adjust these seats? Because the recline mechanism's on the right. The up and down rocker just switch is on the left, and it kind of pumps up and lowers the seat. And it's so close to this left storage pocket that you're either scraping up your hands or bumping them. And of course, the front and back is in the front like a standard seat. I don't like the seating adjustment. And your seating position is so high in here. And obviously, it's to make people feel like they're in not such of a coffin or a small car. So this steering wheel doesn't go down. It goes down, but it doesn't go down much. So you actually have to raise your seat up to get at the steering wheel that you want. I really don't like that about this car, but the seating comfort makes up for a lot of that. The back seat space, well, it's like getting in the back of a two-seat car, but worse. It's really tight back there. I don't imagine that anybody would want to spend more than like 20 minutes back there. I actually felt claustrophobic, and I don't have a problem with it usually. It's something you're going to have to test out. Last but not least is the infotainment and this Beats audio sound system. This Beats audio sound system sounds like shit. It doesn't sound good at all. There's not a lot of clarity. There's a lot of bass, but there's not a lot of clarity. And I think partially it's just the way the cabin's designed. Acoustically, it's not really that great. It's the speaker placement, but you never get just this sense of clarity coming from here. Now, it doesn't have a problem playing loud. It makes up for it in other ways, but you're not going to be blown away by it. That's the point. This Uconnect system, despite its, 5-inch screen, 4.5-inch screen, it's surprisingly usable. You look at it and you're like, what is this from 1995? And the menu structure works really good. It's super quick. I never had a problem with Bluetooth connectivity. It just works for what it is. Getting around is a little cumbersome because of course you have to use the touchscreen for everything, but for the most part, for a touchscreen interface, the speed makes up for a lot of its quirks. There is no central command knob, which sucks because you're always having to dig with this. But the good thing is, when you turn this off, with the power button here, it blacks out the screen. So at night, you don't have to stare at it. Overall adjustments on here are good. It does take care of some of the car controls about automatic locking or how you want to do unlocking. And one of the really cool things about what this car lets you do is disables hill assist if you have the manual transmission. And what that does is if you come to a stop and you take off the brake, it will hold the brakes for you for a second so the car doesn't roll. Like in my Mazda, it does that all the time. And I constantly almost stall it in first because it's still on the brakes when I'm in first gear and trying to go. This car lets you turn that feature off, which is really nice, especially if you've been driving, you know, obviously a manual trans forever. You don't want that on, you don't need it. When I first got in the Fiat 500, not the Abarth, I hated it. So when this was on the schedule, I thought, well, you know, I didn't have high expectations. Let me just put it that way. Driving this, you realize how many little things add up to a lot in plenty of cars. And the Fiat is not the best in class for a lot of things. It's certainly not the fastest. It doesn't have the best manual transmission. It's certainly quirky as hell. But when you do the right things in the right places, you can take a very mundane car and make it extremely enjoyable to drive. And it just goes to say and show you that if you connect on the right emotional elements for a driver, it can make a world of difference.
Well, while you're looking that up, I really like their choice in coolant color.
What color?
It makes me thirsty. Looks like some grape Kool-Aid.
That's grape Kool-Aid?
Yeah, I'm so sick of seeing the hot pink and the red and the blue and the green and the gold. Original purple.
What's in it that makes it purple?
Probably grape flavor like that rear differential fluid GM has.
That would be amazing if it was flavored.
Well, let me open it and you
test it.
smell it. Because it's not that hot.
I'd probably use it as cologne. The other thing about the Abarth is, shut up! Damn, these birds. The other thing about the Abarth is, you son of a bitch. They know when I'm talking. Okay, don't ruin it. I know it looks tough. The other thing about,
There's Big Goose on this side, Big Goose on this side, about 15 little ones in the street. Don't know which way to go. All the cars are stopped both ways, and they're just backing up. And of course, I'm the first one going this way. I was just about to take my phone out. The lady across from me gets out to start shooing them, and this frickin' one comes flying at her. She jumps in the car, and then it's about to attack my car. Oh, it's amazing.
you should have had it on video.
I didn't have, dude, I was jamming.
Jamming what? To your Beats audio?
Yeah. I was Bluetooth and Beats audio.
Oh God, what a joke.
That was crazy.
If you don't have pictures or video, it didn't happen, bro. You should have periscoped me. Periscoped me and then Snapchatted me, Twittered it. Okay.
Insta-like hashtag.
Yeah, I insta-like it. F1 bound, bro. I'll see you and Honda Pro Jason on the track. Well, let's take it for a
I'm
drive.
really shocked to have a old-fashioned style radiator cap on here.
That's for style points. That's probably shit they had left over from the 80s.
That is. I mean, I haven't seen a car with that since the probably early 90s GM pile.
Would you rather have this or a PT Cruiser Turbo?
Oh, PT Cruiser Turbo. You could put almost a cart in the back of a PT Cruiser Turbo. This has the same seating position as a PT Cruiser.
Yeah, it does.